everyone, it's Alexa with the Colby Farms and welcome to my channel. To be getting spicy or saucy. Yeah, saucy, okay? Kind of. We're gonna be making my delicious, my sought after. I'm hyping myself up, but I'm telling you what, if there's one recipe out of this whole channel that you remake, it's this one. It is my Tuscan tomato soup. It is so good. Let me tell you a little backstory, okay? Growing up, I hated me some tomato soup, all right? Was not a fan. The Campbell's tomato soup, no offense to y'all Campbell's, but my goodness, it was not good, okay? And that's the only tomato soup I had ever had. And so, as soon as I tried it, I was like, no, don't like it, never eaten it again, never ate it again. Well, I got married, and my husband, during the COVID time frame, where we were all kind of a little sad, he was like, it was a little bit cooler out still, he was just like, hey, I really would love some tomato soup. And I was like, buddy, I can't make it for you. I can't do it. I just can't. I was determined at that point. I was like, nope, I'm gonna make a good tomato soup. I'm gonna come up with a recipe, I'm gonna do a little research, and that's exactly what we did here, okay? And we came up with this beautiful, delicious Tuscan tomato soup. All right, let's get into it. If you could go ahead and hit that subscribe, I'd love to have you here in the Colby kitchen. Cook alongside myself, learning to cook from scratch, from my kitchen to yours. All right, so first things first, all right? This tomato soup is not one you just throw in a pot and call it a day, okay? There's gonna be some steps, but the steps are worth it. They're not too hard. It's all in one pot, so that's good. First, we're gonna start off roasting some garlic and tomatoes. All right, so these tomatoes right here, they've been in the freezer. I stored them specifically for this tomato soup. So the skin is still on. You can peel it off if you want. I don't. It blends up right in the soup. So you're gonna need about 4 pounds of whole tomatoes, okay? Or you can 4 pounds of any tomato. You could do Roma tomatoes. Probably not cherry, but yeah. And then you're gonna need a whole head of garlic, peeled, okay, ready to go. And you're not gonna mince this, all right? Then you're gonna need some olive oil. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the tomatoes, the garlic, and the olive oil. We're gonna put it all on this cookie sheet right here, and then we're gonna throw it in the oven for about 40 minutes. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on top here, okay? And then remember, my tomatoes, they got a lot of water in general, but they did come out of the freezer, so they are gonna be a little wet. That's okay. All right, then we're just gonna spread the cloves of garlic all around. Nothing fancy, little here, little there. Oops, one tried to escape. Okay, and we're gonna take the rest of this olive oil. This one was 1/3 of a cup. Put a little bit on the bottom, and now we're gonna put a little bit on top. And now we're gonna throw this pan in the oven at 400 degrees for about 40 minutes. All right, I'll be right back. Next, okay? Next, we're gonna be, while that's all cooking up, we're gonna get our soup pot going, okay? First, remember to turn on your stovetop. My stovetop's heating up and it's ready to go, okay? So, get me a bowl out. First, we're gonna chop up our onion. This is probably a large onion that I'm gonna chop up. You could do a small onion, you could do a medium. Okay, so we got our onions all chopped up, and next we are going to chop up some carrots, okay? I just started doing this to the recipe we were sick at the time. These are already washed, by the way. And I was like, how can I add more nutrition into my soup? We're gonna blend up some carrots into there, okay? Doesn't sound appetizing, but you really cannot taste the carrot, and it actually gives it a thicker consistency. We're all about it in this house. Actually, I added in, and people don't even know. They don't even know. Okay, I'm gonna chop this up into little pieces, just so my handy dandy food processor doesn't go kaput, okay? All right. You can chop them as little or as thick as you want, whatever you think that your food processor can handle. I recommend chopping them up in a food processor because you chop them into these little bite-sized pieces, kind of like how we minced our garlic before. Just makes it real nice. Oh, lovely. I'm just gonna put them right in with the onions. Okay? Okay. Get it? You don't have to add as much carrots as I do. But carrots are so good for you, so nutritious, just another beautiful root vegetable. Why not? And if you can't tell the difference, why not? Whoever said no to health? I can hear a tomato sizzler in the back. They smell delicious. Okay. Okay, all right. Don't have to get them super fine. Just a little bit works. It's okay. All right, I'm gonna meet you over at the stovetop. We've got our soup pot. It is nice and hot and ready to go. I put it on a medium heat. You don't want it too warm. You can do it in a Dutch oven. You can do it in a soup pot, whatever you choose, okay? So next, I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil, about a tablespoon, into the pot. Okay? And next, we're gonna add our onions and our carrots, and we're just gonna cook them down. Get that aroma from the onions going in the air, get them nice and soft. Remember, when you put something into a warm pot and you've got oil in it or any sort of fat, make sure you are careful. Don't just slop it in there, all right? Just gently put it in. All right, beautiful. Now we're just gonna let this cook down for a little bit until the onions are pretty fragrant. Okay, so because I added a lot of carrots in here, whoo, smoky. You can turn it down if you need to. I'm going to add a little bit more fat. So I'm gonna add some butter in there and just keep stirring. Once this butter melts, I'll show you what to do next. Next, we are going to add in the spices. First, garlic powder. I know that we have garlic cloves in there. You're gonna learn on this channel, I love garlic. It's definitely the spice of our family. So I'm gonna do about half a tablespoon of that in there. Then I'm gonna do two tablespoons of basil. Next, a teaspoon of oregano. Okay. Mind you, I'm making a big pot of soup. I got people to feed. All right, and a teaspoon of thyme. So this could feed about 8 to 10 people, about the portion that I'm making. But if you do make the same portion, it's okay. You wanna know why? Because then you have lunch the next day for your family. And then if you need more, you can make more. All right, so we're gonna stir this around. that smells so good. That basil is gonna help give it that Tuscan flavor. The soup is amazing for if you have a cold as well. We do put a little kick in at the end, and so fight it, all right? This is all stirred together now. Next, we're gonna add in some balsamic vinegar. I have about 4 to 5 tablespoons here. I kind of did a little in between. All right, when you get a balsamic vinegar, source a good one. There is nothing like a beautiful balsamic vinegar. Stuff from the grocery store, if you have to get it, it's okay. But if you can source it, do it, all right? So we're gonna pour it in, and when it pours in, it's gonna sizzle. It's gonna bubble down, okay? That's what we want. We wanna hear that. That tells me my pot is nice and hot, and all them vegetables and the spices are absorbing that balsamic vinegar, okay? Pour slowly right in the middle. It's gonna take a minute, and then you're gonna hear the balsamic vinegar start to cook. You don't have to keep stirring at this point. You can give it a little bit of a break. But once you hear that balsamic vinegar sizzling a little bit, that's a good sign, okay? All right, that balsamic vinegar is bubbling, sis. Okay, that's a good sign. Balsamic vinegar has been absorbed into the vegetables and the spices, all right? So we are on to our next task, which is adding our homemade bone broth, okay? I will post a link below to my blog post. Not a video yet, but to my blog post on how to make homemade bone broth. This is chicken bone broth. You could do beef bone broth, you could do lamb, anything. But this time I've made chicken, and I'm gonna add it to my soup. Now, I don't really have a measurement. I'll probably add all of the half gallon, if not a little bit less. So yeah, but you wanna add bone broth to the soup. If you're looking for a nutritious soup, that's how you get it, is adding bone broth. I'm talking homemade bone broth, okay? Stuff from the store, I would be arguably say, I don't think it's full of the nutrition that you think it is, but hey, who am I to say? Or if that's all you can do, then do it, girl. But I'm gonna do my homemade bone broth because it's delicious, and it's gonna give it that nutritious kick that I'm looking for, okay? Yep, so I added the whole thing. It's good enough for me. Right, we're just gonna keep stirring. So what we're waiting on now is we're waiting for the soup to boil, okay? Once this starts boiling, then we'll be able to add in the roasted tomatoes and garlic. So this might take a little bit. Go ahead, wash some dishes, get your grilled cheese ready to go. That's what I'm about to do, so stay tuned. Okay, so while our soup is heating up, we are gonna make some grilled cheese sandwiches, okay? This is how I do it. Everybody does it differently, but I found this is the easiest and less messy, per se. Less of a mess. Yeah, this bread right here are my einkorn baguettes. If you'd like me to post a recipe on the channel here soon, let me know in the comments below. I'm just gonna slice it all the way through. Okay. So I left these out all day. I know this isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I like my bread a little more on the crispier side, so I kind of left it out of the bag. That way they can get a little bit more toasty, and I don't have to rely on the oven to toast them. So I'm not cooking these on the stove top like a typical grilled cheese. I'm gonna put these in the oven. So I've already heated up my cast iron at 200 degrees. I heat it up just for maybe like 2 minutes. I just want it warm. I don't want it cold. So I'm just gonna put some butter in. Move it all around, see how it's melting in a little bit. Because I don't want my bread burnt. I don't. So get that all around. Put a little bit of butter on each slice. You can put more, you can put less if you want. I know typically people put it on the outside, but I'm not toasting the top. Top is going to become crispy from the heat in the oven. And then I have my cheeses here. You can do any cheeses that you want. But for me, I'm going to do, and here I have some raw cheddar that I'm gonna put on the bottom, okay? And then I have this homemade Gouda that I get from my local farm. They do a fantastic job with it. It's like the softest Gouda I've ever had in my entire life. And then I have another cheddar that I'm going to put on top. I like to give my grilled cheese a little bit more flair. And then on top, I'm gonna put a hot cheddar. You don't have to do the same thing as me. You could just do one whole cheese. You could do a bunch of different cheeses, whatever you prefer. When you go out to a restaurant and they give you a beautiful grilled cheese with a bunch of different cheeses, oh, doesn't it just bring it to life? So, and that's the same thing with the soup. That's what I want to do today. And cheese is protein, okay? Let's just put this on. Now they may fall. It's okay. It's okay. Cook them for our families here, right? I'm just gonna put them next to each other. All right, so they are going in the oven now. I'll probably put them in for about 5-7 minutes, however long that they need at 200 degrees. All right, so while our grilled cheese are in the oven and they're getting all nice and melted down and ready to go, we are going to finish the soup. So we got our broth boiling right now, and now I'm going to add, this pan cooled off, so don't worry. I'm gonna add all my tomatoes and garlic and olive oil all into the pot. All right. You could add these in hot if your tomatoes got done right after, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm gonna be careful because I don't want nothing splashing all over me. You're probably asking, is that it? Is that what you do? Got a couple more steps, okay? If you're gonna cook from scratch, you're gonna need an immersion blender. Literally, probably the best tool in my kitchen. Literally. So, we're gonna blend this all up, okay? Make sure it's on tight. Don't go fast with this. If you go fast with the immersion blender, it's gonna be, your food's gonna be all over you. So, just take your time. The trick is, there's little holes on the bottom of this immersion blender. If the holes come above the liquid line, that's when it splatters. So just keep it down low, okay? All the vegetables, all the tomatoes, all the onions, they'll come right to that immersion blender. You can move your immersion blender around, just keep it low, okay? Now, depending on how you want your soup is how long you gotta stay at this immersion blender. We like ours really smooth and creamy, so I'm gonna be here for a little bit, making sure we get all those pieces brought up into the blender and smoothing it all out. Since we did add carrots, it kind of will be a little gritty, but it's not too bad, especially if we don't care in this home. If you care in your home, then that would be an indicator if you should add the carrots or not, okay? Because I've got a couple more things to blend into the soup, I'm gonna stop now. Don't leave the immersion blender in the soup. It will fall and flip everywhere. Just grab some milk out of the fridge. I wanted to keep it cold, but to make it creamy, we're gonna add in some milk. Because of the size of pot of soup that I'm making, I'm gonna add about 3/4 cup of milk. Our milk is raw milk, so it's pretty fatty. If you don't have raw milk though and you have pasteurized, I probably should add like a vitamin D milk or even heavy cream. Just gives it that nice smooth texture. Okay, so these are sun-dried tomatoes. I usually add about 9 or 10. I don't know, I like ours to have a kick. So, sun-dried tomatoes right in there, and then you're gonna take the immersion blender and blend it up. Right in there, and then I'm going to add some salt. We got some chunky sea salt here that I'm gonna put on top. We're gonna blend. Remember, keep it down low. So to make sure that you get those sun-dried tomatoes, try to put the blender on top and bring it down. That'll help get them. All right, so we have made our Tuscan tomato soup. It smells so good. My family is so hungry. They're so ready to eat it. Look at this. Look at how beautiful this is. Just absolutely so creamy and smooth. It still is a little gritty from the carrots, but that's okay. It's absolutely delicious, full of nutrition. I am so pleased with everything. Get grilled cheese on here. All right, see how that cheese melted really nicely? It's just how we prefer our grilled cheeses here. You can do yours on the stovetop like I've said before. You can do yours in the oven, whatever you choose. At the end of the day, what matters the most is that we fed our families good, nutritious food. That's gonna fill them up, especially for the night. If you like this recipe, go ahead and click the like button. Comment below, do you like tomato soup? Do you not like tomato soup? Would you give this soup a try? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit subscribe and that little bell next so you are notified when the next video comes out. Thank you so much for stopping by the farm, and we'll see you next time. Bye.